Good morning, folks, and welcome along to lesson 72. This is a longer lesson than usual, so what I'm going to ask you to do is just take a moment. Let's bring the hands together. This is a beautiful balancing of the left and right hemispheres. Thumbs into sternums, elbows out, deep breath into the heart and out. We'll go straight into our prayer. So we begin this day in gratitude. We open our hearts and we surrender to love. We ask that love lead the way through the minutes and the hours of this new day. We welcome joy, fun, and abundant prosperity. We recognize that all encounters are wholesome and that all experiences can be met with a peaceful heart that is anchored in the truth that we are one, that we are love, and that we are free. And we release these words, and so we let it be. Okay, so lesson 72. Holding grievances is an attack on God's or love's plan for salvation. So whilst we have recognized that the ego's plan for salvation is the opposite of God's, meaning it keeps us stuck and on the merry-go-round, we have not yet emphasized that it is an active attack on God's plan and a deliberate attempt to destroy it. In the attack, God is assigned the attributes which are actually associated with the ego, while the ego appears to take on the attributes of God. So we rely on the ego rather than relying on God. We trust our ego rather than trusting our God self. The ego's fundamental wish is to replace God. So this set of beliefs we have is put in place of God. In fact, the ego is the physical embodiment of that wish, for it is that wish that seems to surround the mind with a body, keeping it separate and alone and unable to reach other minds except through the body that was made to imprison it. The limit on communication cannot be the best means to expand communication, yet the ego would have you believe that that is it. So the ego has us believe in separation, in singledom, in one, that it's just me here and you over there, okay? The God self invites us into oneness, into knowing that we're not separate from God, but we're also not separate from one another. Although the attempt to keep the limitations that a body would impose is obvious here, it is perhaps not so apparent why holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. But let us consider the kinds of things you are apt to hold grievances for. Are they not always associated with something a body does? A person says something you do not like. They do something that displeases you. They betray you with their hostile thoughts and their behavior. Okay, so if you think about it, it's always about somebody else body. You're not dealing here with what the person is. On the contrary, you're exclusively concerned with what they do in a body. You are doing more than failing to help in freeing them from the body's limitations. You are actively trying to hold them to it by confusing it with them and judging them as one, that they are one with their body, forgetting that they are spirit. Herein is God attacked. For if his child is only a body, so must God be as well. Because remember, we are made in the image and likeness of love itself. A creator wholly unlike its creation is inconceivable. If God is a body, what must the plan for salvation be? What could it be but death? Because the body dies, remember? In trying to present oneself as the author of life and not of death, or in trying to present themselves, the God selves, as the author of life and not of death, they are a liar and a deceiver, full of false promises and offering illusions in place of truth. The body's apparent reality makes this view of God quite convincing because, look, it feels pretty real. In fact, if the body were real and not a big bunch of cells joined up together, and an illusion at that, it would be difficult to intend to escape this conclusion. And every grievance that you hold insists that the body is real. It overlooks entirely what your brother or sister is. It reinforces your belief that they are a body and condemns them for it. It asserts that the other person's salvation must be death, projecting this attack onto God and holding them responsible for it. To this carefully prepared arena where angry animals seek for prey and mercy cannot enter, the ego comes to save you. God made you a body. Very well. Let us accept this and be glad. And as a body, do not let yourself be deprived of what the body offers. Take the little you get. God gave you nothing. The body is your only savior. It is the death of God and your salvation. This is a big lesson, and it feels, quite heavy, but really what it's forcing us to do is to look at the fact that we think we're this limited body, and we think that everybody else is this limited body, and we behave and act from that place. This is inviting us to see a much bigger picture and have a much deeper knowing of who we truly be. So this is the universal belief of the world you see. Some hate the body and try to hurt it and humiliate it. Others love the body and try to glorify and exalt it. But while the body stands at the center of your concept of yourself, you are attacking God's plan for salvation and holding your grievances against love and love's creation, that you may not hear the voice for truth and welcome it as your friend. Your chosen Savior takes the place instead. It is your friend, and God is your enemy, or love is your enemy, because we don't lean into the love that we are. We will try today to stop these senseless attacks on salvation. We will try to welcome it instead. Your upside-down perception has been ruinous to your peace of mind. You have seen yourself in a body and the truth outside you, locked away from your awareness by the body's limitations. Now we are trying to see this differently. The light of truth is in us, where it was placed by God. It is the body that is outside us and not our concern. And actually, when we put love first, the body takes care of itself. It naturally gravitates towards drinking water and eating good food and just maintaining itself. It is a temple and it is to be looked after, but we have to put love first, not the body, not make the body a false idol. To see ourselves as separate from the body is to end the attack on God's plan for salvation and to accept it instead. So that's our large self, to see ourselves, capital S. And wherever God's plan is accepted, it is accomplished already. Our goal in the longer practice periods today is to become aware that God's plan for salvation has already been accomplished in us. This is really important. We're already saved. We're already whole. We're already complete. We just don't realize it. And so we're out there searching and looking. As long as we attack it, we cannot understand what God's plan for us is. We are therefore attacking what we do not recognize. Now we are going to try to lay judgment aside and ask what God's plan for us is. What is salvation? I do not know. Tell me that I may understand. So we're humbly coming and asking love, just like we do each day, to lead the way, and asking for this to be healed within us, so that we don't feel lost, so that we feel found. We will wait in quiet for God's answer. We have attacked God's plan for salvation without waiting to hear what it is. So we're kind of in ignorance, We have shouted our grievances so loudly that we have not heard the voice for God. We have used our grievances to close our eyes and to stop our ears. Think about how caught up we get in things, and how single-minded we get about things. So now we would see and hear and learn. What is salvation? Ask and you will be answered. Seek and you will find. We're no longer asking the ego what salvation is and where to find it. We're asking it of truth. Be certain then that an answer will be true because of whom you ask. Whenever you feel your confidence wane and your hope of success flicker and go out, repeat your question and your request, remembering that you're asking of the infinite creator of infinity, who created you like themselves. What is salvation? I do not know. Tell me that I may understand. Love will answer and be determined to hear. 1 or perhaps 2 shorter practice periods an hour will be enough for today. Since they will be somewhat longer than usual, these exercises should begin with this. Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. Let me accept it instead. What is salvation? Then wait a minute or so in silence, preferably with your eyes closed, and listen for the answer. Okay, I've written here from before, do you want to have a mindless heart or a heartless mind? And no, we don't. We don't want either, We want that beautiful balance. And so we're going to listen to love and to understand what love would have us do and what love would have us know. So let's take a moment or two with this in quiet. I know it's a long lesson. Let's just pause. Okay. So what is salvation? I do not know. Tell me that I may understand. And closing your eyes down. When you're ready, gently opening your eyes. One of the most important things, or two of the most important things on this path to peace is learning, to ask questions and learning to listen to the answers. And sometimes the answer doesn't come straight away, but it always comes. I promise you that. So being receptive, being curious, and being in that listening mode. and my heart tears. Have a wonderful day.